Hey there and welcome! Today we're going to break down everything your nonprofit needs to know about charitable solicitation registration right here in Wisconsin. So this explainer is part of our multi-state fundraising compliance series. We're here to make these tricky regulations a whole lot simpler for you, all brought to you by the folks at Ironwood Registrations.
All right, let's jump right in. If your nonprofit is asking for donations in Wisconsin, it's absolutely crucial that you register before you even start. And here's what makes Wisconsin a little different. It has this unique system with fixed renewal deadlines and totally separate financial reporting. Don't worry, we're going to clear it all up.
Here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the registration basics, then we'll walk you through that first filing process. After that, we'll get into the annual requirements, and we'll wrap up with a few special things you only need to worry about in Wisconsin.
First up, the registration basics. Let's tackle those fundamental questions, like who's actually in charge of the rules, and more importantly, who has to file versus who gets a pass. The main player you need to know is the Wisconsin Department of Financial Institutions, or as you'll see it, the DFI. It's their Division of Corporate and Consumer Services that handles all the charitable fundraising regulations and keeps that public list of who's good to go. So, the big question, right? Who actually has to register? Well, the rule is pretty straightforward. You have to be registered before you ask for a single dollar. And that goes for everybody, whether your nonprofit is based in Wisconsin or you're an out-of-state group reaching donors who live there.
And what do they mean by solicitation? Well, it's a really broad definition. We're talking about your online Donate Now buttons, those email and social media campaigns, direct mail, phone calls, even your fundraising events. If you're doing any of that to reach Wisconsin folks, this is for you.
Now, before you panic, there are a few exemptions. The main one is for the smaller guys. If you raise less than $25,000 a year, you run entirely by unpaid volunteers, and you don't use professional fundraisers, then you're probably in the clear.
And there are a few other groups that get an automatic pass. You don't even have to apply for it. We're talking about most religious organizations, schools, membership groups that only hit up their own members, political orgs, and any appeals for a single named person.
Okay, so you figured out that you do in fact need to register. What now? Let's walk through what that very first filing process actually looks like.
For that initial registration, you're basically just putting together a packet of documents. The usual suspects, like your IRS letter, your latest Form 990, and your bylaws. If you use professional fundraisers, you've got to disclose that. And here's a key detail. Make sure you get signatures from 2 different officers. Then you can just send the whole thing off by mail or email.
And hey, here's some good news for your budget. The initial filing fee is super simple. It's just a flat $15.
Okay, now for the part that really makes Wisconsin stand out. And honestly, this is where a lot of organizations get tangled up. It's 2-track system for staying compliant year after year. You see, here's the critical thing to get right. Wisconsin requires 2 completely separate annual filings. You've got your registration renewal, and then you've got your annual financial report. They have different deadlines, different purposes, and you have to do both. So first, let's talk about that registration renewal. Your registration is valid for 1 year, but here is the absolute kicker. All of the renewals are due on the exact same day, July 31st. It does not matter when your organization's fiscal year ends. I'll say it again. Everybody renews on July 31st. Then there's the second filing, the annual financial report. Now, this one is only required if your contributions go over that $25,000 mark, and its deadline is tied to your fiscal year. It's due a full 12 months after your fiscal year closes. So you see, 2 totally different timelines to keep track of.
So, with all these deadlines, the question that always comes up for busy teams is pretty obvious, right? Can we get an extension?
And the answer from Wisconsin is simple and very firm. No. You can't get an extension for either of these filings. If you're late with the renewal, they'll hit you with a $25 late fee, but really the bigger problem is just being out of compliance.
Now, something else to keep on your radar. As your fundraising grows, the state's financial requirements get a little more intense. If you're bringing in between $500,000 and $1 million in contributions, you're going to need a CPA review. And if you go over $1 million, that's when a full audit is required. Oh, and it's really important to know these numbers don't include any government grants or membership dues. Okay, let's wrap this up with just a few last-minute details, some special considerations that are key to staying on the right side of the rules in Wisconsin.
And here's a nice, easy one for you. Unlike a lot of other states, Wisconsin does not require you to have a registered agent for charitable registration purposes, so that's one less thing to worry about.
All right, so let's boil all this down into a simple checklist. Number 1, register before you start soliciting. 2, put that July 31st renewal deadline in your calendar with a big red circle around it. 3, remember to file that separate financial report based on your own fiscal year. And 4, keep an eye on those contribution numbers so you know if an audit is on the horizon.
Look, if you take just one thing away from this, let it be this. It's that unique combination of a fixed universal renewal date and a totally separate financial reporting deadline that really sets Wisconsin apart. You absolutely have to track both to stay compliant. At the end of the day, Wisconsin's rules are all about transparency, but they definitely demand that you pay close attention. If managing all this, especially if you're fundraising in multiple states, starts to feel like a lot, well, that's what firms like Ironwood Registrations are there for. You can learn more at ironwoodregistrations.com.